Mighty Mercury.
Mighty Mercury!
What is up, Merc Nation? Welcome back to the PHNX Mercury podcast. I am your host, Eric Day. I'm joined by QB1, PG1, on and off the field, in and out of the studio, heck, in and out of the semifinals of the WNBA playoffs, huh? Stephen Pridgeon Garner, how the heck are you doing today?
I was doing great. Very impressive win from the Mercury. Applying all of the lessons learned throughout the regular season, throughout this series alone in and of itself, in real time, and they went and handled their business in a way that was very akin to all of the culture and identity that they've worked arduously to establish all season long. This is why the regular season matters. You know, some people get bored with the regular season. Some people put a blind eye up to the regular season. Can't get to these points winning these games without all of the lessons learned and wins and losses through those 44 games prior to this last three. How about you? How you feeling?
I'm feeling hype. I feel like this season has been, to your point, very long. It's been a 44-game long season, longest in WNBA history, for good reason, but this was it was a long season, and getting here to the playoffs and watching this team really come into themselves at the right time, hit on all cylinders tonight. It looked so good, and, at multiple different times tonight, it never felt like Sabrina had 22 freaking points because our team the Mercury looked so damn good. And, they couldn't get the New York Liberty to really go away tonight. Mm-hmm. But, we're talking about the reigning champions. So I think it's no small feat to put them away like this, even if it is at home. In a decisive game 3, it's never easy. And the team got the job done. Yeah.
Yeah. This New York team is not easy to beat at all. You see what happened in the fourth quarter alone. It felt like the Mercury were in the driver's seat the entire way, but a half stride behind them the entire way was the New York Liberty. Yep. Breanna Stewart, never quitting. Scored all of her team's points in the fourth quarter on a sprained MCL. The heart of a champion can never be questioned. And she's a multi-time champion with multiple teams for multiple reasons. Not easy to close out a team that has no quit in them. They found a way to get it done. That's very impressive. The most impressive win of the season was today's game. Kevin, how are you feeling, sir?
Incredible, Steven. This was a great win. Me and Damon Dog were vociferously trying to convince Erica that this was a championship caliber victory.
I knew Kevin was going to pull some nonsense like this as soon as we press record. And that's not fair to me, okay? I just said I didn't want to get too high, And I feel like Steven would be the first to say that that's probably a little bit fair, right?
Yeah.
It's not that I don't have high expectations for this team, high hopes. Everybody that watches this PHNX Mercury podcast definitely knows that if anyone wants the Mercury to win basketball games, you are looking at her, okay? I'm going to say I love this team, man. It's been a pleasure to watch them grow all season long. And so, to anyone that doubts my love for the team because of what Kevin just said, that's not very fair.
First of all, I would like to be clear. No one's doubting your love for this team, nor your belief that they can go do what they think that they might do in the locker room.
Mind you, I said they were going to go 44-0 at the beginning of the season.
Me and Damon were just, I think, a little bit more high on we were allowing ourselves to get a little higher than you were. And I think you were channeling some Stephen Pridgeon Gardner by being just a little bit more analytical and just being like, this game does not mean that they can automatically just go beat the Lynx. They have to go play those games. They have to prepare for those games and execute in those games. So, yeah, we're going to get to that in the second half, but let's enjoy it for the first half.
I like how he basically just implied that I've learned from you. And I love that because it's true. I don't want to be too crazy, about it. It could
No, you can. Don't. Let me.
I want to celebrate.
Let me set the lay of the land.
I'm laying.
You can certainly celebrate for sure, but there's a fine line between celebrating and getting too big for your britches. That's all I'm saying. This is a great win, but I think this position of Nate Tibbetts, Alyssa Thomas, and Satou Sabally on the post-game podium was every bit of it all. You can celebrate the now, but stay focused on the ultimate goal. You didn't put this team together to only beat the New York Liberty. You also didn't put this team together to only advance to the second round. They have a higher desire, if you will. No bars, no pun intended with that. But you don't want to get lost in the moment. You can celebrate the moment, but you don't want to get lost in it. And it feels very much like no different than when they lost game 1. They didn't get too low on themselves, and after winning game 2 and 3, 2 in a row, they haven't gotten too high on themselves either. And that's the correct type of disposition. Like, I genuinely didn't feel any ounce of we did it out of either one of those 3. They were very much, we handled our business and now it's on to the next one. And that's what you want to see out of your front-facing franchise pieces, excluding Kahleah Copper from the podium tonight.
Well, and like Melissa said in the chat, job's not finished. And
correct. Shout out Bean, the late great Bean.
There's a long job ahead, long road. And like Rob said, 7 more wins. So leave a like, leave a chat, comment, whatever you're doing. I know you're just probably coming home. Maybe you're still in the traffic. Like Steven and I were basically stuck in for the last 45 minutes.
It's cracking downtown Phoenix, I tell you.
Yeah, one thing about downtown Phoenix right now, they're celebrating a Merc dub. So shout out to you guys who are in our chat today celebrating this Mercury dub. I'm hype. Steven's hype. Kevo's obviously hype. I had to bring him back down to planet Earth for just one hot second, but we're all good now. I think we should get in the one-word burns. What do you think? Let's rip.
Great time to do it.
All right. Mine was electric, and there's been a lot of conversations about the environment this week, whether while they were in New York or back even tonight when they were back in Phoenix. And right before the game started, we were like probably 5 minutes before tip. Looked a little empty in there. Not gonna lie, I was a little nervous. But as the first quarter went on, it filled, and the crowd was hype. The players were hype. The players were feeding off of it, and you got players in foul trouble. The crowd's eating that up. You got players hitting big shots that are tough shots, and the crowd is eating that up. Players getting big stops in big moments. Crowd's eating that up. It was just an electric environment beginning to end. It didn't matter if the Mercury was up or down by 1, as they were multiple different times tonight. The crowd was involved, and it was a lovely sight to see. A playoff dub in PHX Arena. It was electric.
It was. I think that's a great word. The way they played was electric. The way that the crowd was pretty much locked in from after the first 5 minutes through the duration of the game.
Yep.
Electric. Yeah. I think that's a great word. For me, I forgot which word I chose. Yes, affirming. And it's because I had a couple words I was trying to choose from. I think affirming was maybe the best one for what I was trying to communicate as far as my perception on it. And I say affirming because you're not truly there in terms of being on the playoff stage until you kick that first domino down. And what better way to kick your first domino down for Nate Tibbetts and his coaching staff and this regime of the Mercury era going into him being at the helm of everything than to get your first series win against the team that won it all last year.
Yep.
That team fully healthy. That team with all of their chess pieces on the board. And you found your way to navigating it in a very impressive way. And that's another word you could have chose, which was impressive. That's another word I was kind of trying to decide between. But yes, this felt like a we're here type of statement, which is the third word that I was thinking about. This was a statement win. This was a statement series. And I think that now it's about and then what? It's cool to show that you've arrived. Now, what do you do to sustain at that level?
Yeah, I definitely agree that this was a statement win. It was big. It was loud. Everyone across the nation heard the ESPN, predictions ahead of tonight's game. What was that, 6 days ago now when they put that out, and Everyone but one said either Liberty in 2 or Liberty in 3, and ha ha ha, joke's on you. Here we are talking about Mercury in 3. Vibes are up in the Valley, and Mercury got more basketball to play. Kevo,
shout out to Sam Hurd though, who got it right.
Yep,
only person to get it right.
Outside
of this podcast,
I heard that he heard something.
That's my thing. I appreciate them acknowledging those that did not pick them to win this series. But little old us over here, tried to do our part in informing those that are severely uninformed in their opinions on this team this season. I think the way that some people were choosing the Liberty this series, they very much undermined everything that was the Phoenix Mercury comprehensively on the regular season, but scratch the other 40 games. The 4 games against this very specific team, no team played the New York Liberty the ways in which the Phoenix Mercury did. No team put pressure on them both with their offense and with their defense the ways that the Phoenix Mercury did, which we saw show up in multiple moments across each of these 3 games. You can't ignore the regular season. Like, even if you wanted to just blindly look roster for roster, no way you come away with Liberty in 2 when you're considering that Alyssa Thomas has been the best player between both teams the entire season. And you also factor in the other players individually that had very good series showings against this New York Liberty team.
I just want to say that there's no pins. I don't think you guys can see it under the mic. Wait, hold on real quick. AT for MVP. I don't know if you see that. I don't.
For our audio listeners, they definitely can't see it.
Yeah, AT for MVP on my
you gotta click
chest.
it. You gotta click it so they can hear it in the mic. There you go.
My bad, guys. But I don't think, last I checked, there's no Sabrina pins, no Stewie pins.
They were in top 5 in the MVP race this year.
It's weird because comprehensively one of the best players in the league all season long has been here. And sure, you want to talk about inconsistencies from Satou after the All-Star break, fine, but before that, she was one of the leading scorers in the league. And then on top of that, you had Kahleah Copper coming back from injury, and they still hadn't really accounted in the fact that DeWanna Bonner, who is, the second all-time leading scorer in the WNBA playoffs?
Second all-time leading scorer, number 1 in rebounds in playoff history.
And they thought Liberty in 2. That doesn't seem very analytical or smart, really, to me. Insert that video of me saying, idiot. Absolute idiot for saying that comment.
I'm just saying, if they don't want to go and watch the games from the regular season, I can just come watch the podcast.
It's 45 minutes to an hour of your time. You don't even have to watch till the end.
Nope.
We make this easy for you.
Make it real easy.
Well, I want to get into something real positive because I'm feeling amped, and I want to get that across. I want to get into this player of the game because Alyssa, if I could cuss, MF Thomas. This player right here, the X-Factor of tonight's game, 20 points, 11 rebounds, 11 assists, 3 stocks. I feel like even the stat line, while it's absolutely incredible, it doesn't even really show the impact she had on tonight's game. And it was her 9th double-double or triple-double on the season. I couldn't even get the double-double tweet off before she could get the triple-double. I mean, literally it all happened within 35 seconds of each other. And I'm like, That is a stat line right there. And in the WNBA playoffs against the reigning champions, Stewie's got 30 and AT's doing that.
She is one of a kind. That's the easiest way to surmise without spending 4 hours talking about Alyssa Thomas. The ways in which she controls a game from the helm of an offense and just understanding the flow of a game, what the game is demanding from her, what the game is demanding from her teammates, how to put herself or said players in position to be their best selves when the game is asking for it. It's not easy. You double that and couple that with also being a defensive anchor for a team that, again, by my eye, had the second best defense in the W this season. And when they're playing to their best, they're second to no one on that end of the floor. A lot of that is because of her. That's not easy to wear for 40 minutes a night. The demands, the challenges that come with that. Any wrong slip of a step in your production or just not being there to the extent that your team needs you to. This is not the conversation we're having right now.
Yep.
And I think the way she responded in the fourth quarter was everything. I think the way she responded in the first quarter to help set the tone, first of all, was everything. And then the fourth quarter, playing with force again. I think she had 4 free throw attempts in the first quarter. And then in the fourth quarter, she was just in the paint every single possession and making the right pass, if not scoring for herself. It's not easy to do.
Well, and I think when you contextualize it after what happened in game 1, it makes it even more impressive, right? Like this team they were tied, I think, with 4 minutes to play. And I mean, they very much easily could have reverted back to exactly what happened on Sunday.
Yep.
And yet they did not. They locked in, they got gritty, for lack of a better term, and they got the dub. And everybody on the floor did what they needed to do to get the win. And AT was the, very much pun intended, the engine behind it all. She makes everything run. She makes everything run smoother. She's the extension of Nate Tibbetts on the court. She handles the ball when everyone else needs a freaking second to breathe. She does everything and then some for this team, and she makes everybody else around her. So even if she's not doing it, she's putting someone else in a position to do it. She is comprehensively the best player on the floor. She definitely was tonight, despite what the points said about, on the New York Liberty side. It was the Alyssa Thomas showdown.
It was. Again, they don't win this series if Alyssa Thomas is not the best player on the floor. And you can copy and paste that exact sentence onto the second round, but we'll get to that after we get done breaking down the game that happened tonight. Because she is, I know we're talking about AT right now, but I do want to give a shout out to Satou Sabally, because if she's not able to be solid with guarding someone like Breanna Stewart, that doesn't allow for Alyssa Thomas to be her best version of herself defensively and going and guarding someone like Jonquel Jones in tandem with, obviously, Natasha Mack, who we'll certainly be getting to a little bit later. But that's the versatility point. The way this team plays is very much synonymous with Alyssa Thomas, the individual. Gritty, hard-nosed, blue-collar, competitive as all get out. That fire, that energy that she brings, the team embodies everything that is Alyssa, and that's what you usually see from a team that has the best player like AT, but that's also past just being the best player. The ultimate salute to leadership. And I think there's a lot of conversations about leadership. The ways that a team responds in respect to the best player coming out with a certain type of fervor. Alyssa Thomas gets to the free throw line 4 times in the first quarter. For one, she's finally getting the whistle that she's been deserving all season long and all series long. Off the rip from this game, that was important. And she, takes a couple of steps away from the free throw line, and the crowd is in a frenzy. And the crowd is feeding off of Alyssa's energy, as well as her teammates. Not after a bucket scored, after getting to the free throw line, because of the force and the tone that that's setting for the game. I think we heard the word physicality, 15 times from the New York Liberty in the pregame?
Yep. Like literally 15.
Who is more physical on this Phoenix Mercury team than AT?
They might as well just said Alyssa Thomas's name instead of physicality.
Exactly. And that's what I'm getting at. When your team brand and identity is so akin to the style of play that the best player plays with on a minute basis, on a second basis, that's hard to deal with for an opponent if you're not able to meet that with your own type of force. So, salute to Alyssa Thomas, her leadership, the way she shows up every day, the way she plays. The team, she sets the tone just so well. She's a catalyst. And that's the best way of having a leader that you could have in a game set or a game 3 like tonight.
I agree. Go ahead.
I'm double checking right now, so I'll let you guys know when I have a definitive answer. But I feel like this might be the first time that anyone ever has had a triple-double and a teammate had a double-double in the playoffs in the same game. I'm double checking it.
It might be. I know this was the second triple-double in an elimination game in W history.
Yeah, Cheryl Swoops in 2005.
Of course it was Cheryl. Of course it was 22. Because who else?
Yeah, and so AT owns 5 of 7 playoff triple doubles, and I'm through 3 of those, and there has not been a double double when she was with the Suns on the same time. So this might be a one of a kind kind of performance from people like Satou Sabally and Alyssa Thomas and the rest. I mean, DeWanna Bonner hit that shot at the end of the game, and only an all-time great kind of hit that kind of a clutch shot in the moment. So
for sure.
And DeWanna Bonner wasn't really scoring at a high volume tonight.
She
4
did
points.
not.
So like hitting that shot in the clutch means that all that and some. You know, I want to throw up this player comparison for Ka and Satou real quick because I feel like it's prevalent to the conversation we're having right now. Satou finished with 23 points, 12 rebounds, and 3 assists. And then Kahleah, 12 points, 9 rebounds, 2 for 4 from 3. Man, Ka was flirting with that double-double too, man. That would have been a hell of a game, man. Holy crap. I mean, even without that 10th rebound, it was still a hell of a game. So I don't want to make it sound like it was, but oh my gosh, that would have been absolutely diabolical. So, man, that was.
Christina. Big facts.
Poor guys.
Christina says she left the arena with her, or she left her voice in the arena.
Well, she'll have to go back for game 3 to get it back.
Hey, all right, just come back on Friday next week and come get that thing back.
That's tough.
For sure.
Man, yeah, thank gosh you know the schedule for these next games because I'm cooked.
Yeah, Sunday's game 1, Tuesday's game 2, and then they come back to Phoenix for Friday and Sunday games 3 and 4.
15 shots, 0 free throw attempts for Kahleah Copper. All them fouls and not a single one was a shooting foul on Kahleah Copper.
But I want to salute to Kai for that because she didn't allow for that to phase her. She didn't let that shift her from being aggressive. She also didn't get consumed with talking to the officials.
I felt the same way about Satou tonight. They were both extremely locked in and not emotional at all.
That's the difference. Yes, the calls were missed. They should have been made. Are you going to allow for that to then become an advantage and opportunity for the opponents to poke at you? Because you're not going against the officials. You're going against the other team. That's a growing up moment for this Mercury team. And it's not that they allow for that to consume them in like a ridiculous manner. But all it takes is a half second where you got fouled, you want to look and talk at the refs, and Breanna Stewart is going down court with the other 4 players on the court with her, and they're in transition 5-on-4. You can't leave your teammates out to dry like that. And they made business decisions to not allow for the lack of consistency or the lack of execution from officials to impact them in this game. Now, there were multiple moments where there was a dead ball, and they made sure that they what they needed to be said was felt and heard from Nate as well as all of the big 3, and rightfully so. But you pick and choose those spots with intention. You don't allow for you to be at a disadvantage in the game trying to talk to the refs while the ball is live. And that's, again, a point of growth for this team because they're going to be tested probably even more in the second round with that very same thing. They're not going to get the same whistle that Minnesota's going to get. Just go into the series and expect that now. Are you going to allow for that to get in your way? Or are you going to find ways to work around that? Because mental toughness and competitive stamina are what got you the series win against the New York Liberty, the defending champs. For as much as it took for you to get that and the margin for error being slim against this team, it goes up to a times 10 multiplier against this Minnesota Lynx team that's waiting for you on Sunday.
I don't want to talk about the Minnesota Lynx yet. I'm not ready for that. I'm not ready.
It's inevitable. And the history between these two teams, there's some fun storylines to talk about.
I'm sick to my stomach.
AT and DB.
They know I'm not lying. I'm really sick to my stomach thinking about it. I've been sick since halftime. Since I could see the end in sight, you know? I
should have been sick since the standings were finalized because this collision course felt inevitable. It was either Minnesota or Atlanta, it felt like.
Or apparently now the Aces, I guess, huh?
Yeah, also that too.
Which is just, I mean, what a crazy, let's take a second, because what an absolutely diabolical playoff series. All around, all 4 games, all 4 series have been incredible games, incredible series. Even the game, Fever Atlanta, that was an incredible game, start to finish. The Valkyries in Minnesota game 2, even though it was a sweep, it was an incredible series. Then you've got the Aces and the Storm, and you got to feel for the Storm, man. You got to feel for the Storm. Like, you know what type of hell has to be frozen over for Erica to be like, oh my gosh, I feel for the Storm.
Mm-hmm.
But you got to feel for the Storm. They just keep getting the luck of the draw with the aces.
And it does not shake in their favor.
It does not.
Yeah, it's tough.
And they had so many chances in this series, and it was just robbed from them. I'm not robbed. They robbed themselves. But man,
exactly,
what a tough spot to be in for a team like that had such high aspirations, most talented team Skylar's ever been on, and boom, now it ends like this. It's just
tough.
Crazy playoffs. It was a fun first round.
It was an all-time first round. 3 game threes. One came down to the literal last second.
Yep.
Another one came to improbable fourth quarter comeback, and another one was just, for the third time, it feels like this year, one of the best games of the season between the New York Liberty and the Phoenix Mercury. This is such a fun basketball space that all of these teams are operating in right now. If this was any precursor to the second round, we are in for some great basketball over this next week and a half. And I think people should not be counting out the Indiana Fever. I know they're without like 4 of their most important players.
What a win.
But that hasn't stopped them from doing what they needed to do just to get to the playoffs.
Yep.
And solidify that opportunity. And then go and do what they've done all season, which is be resilient against a team that's been picked to sweep them.
Really and genuinely, all the Stephanie White.
Shout out Stephanie White.
Conversations came to a yeety halt last night. And it's classy to see people, admit their wrongdoings,
Yeah, we should make that a consistent practice, especially in national media members. But shout out to Stephanie White. Stephanie White she has been coaching her rear end off since, especially since Caitlin went down, because that put a bigger demand on her. Kelsey Mitchell, very much deserving of being on that top 5 of the MVP race. She's had a Herculean amount of weight on her shoulders to lift that team too throughout the rest of the regular season and obviously in that first round series. And she made great decisions, not always scoring as well, to get them to where they needed to be to ultimately win that game last night. That decision to make that pass to, I think it was Aaliyah Boston, which ultimately got to Lexi Hall or whoever it was that got the layup to basically put the game in their hands. Special. That's what the playoffs are made of. This is what it's all about.
When it's on the opposite side of the bracket and the Wings that obviously did not make the playoffs. Don't know if y'all heard breaking news, Wings, no playoffs for them. So I had no dog in the fight. I was just watching to enjoy good basketball, and I felt #so blessed. It was a great game, and I'm so happy for Aaliyah Boston. And the rebuild with the Indiana Fever started before Caitlin Clark got there. And to watch Kelsey Mitchell, to watch Aaliyah Boston, Lexi Hull, those players, they've stuck with it through 2 head coaches and a very interesting set of circumstances that have led them to be the most polarizing team in the league and to have had the type of adversity due to injury that they've had all season. I mean, good for them. Congrats to the Indiana Fever. It was a great series, and I'm just stoked that the playoffs have been, to your point, it was an all-time first round, and I will literally never forget any of this. So
if this was a Las Vegas Aces podcast, stoked would be the thumbnail, because that is exactly what they should be to go up against that Indiana Fever team. That series is going to be fun. I don't think the Indiana Fever are going to win that series, but I think they're going to make it hellaciously competitive.
I think it's going to be fun all the way around. I think there's so many storylines you could go with here. And frankly, I'm just so amped about all the different matchups. I could go on and on. And so it's going to be so fun. Odyssey Sims has been playing her rear end off over there in Indiana.
Yeah, if you've been watching us for the last 2
2 years, man.
You will know we are big time Odyssey Sims fans, because he just plays the way that you need at that point guard spot.
Steven,
even at this age.
Steven really teaches me all the time about stuff, but if you listen to both of us, we will have you convinced about all the right things, truly, I feel like.
We haven't really missed. I mean, I say that humbly, but we pay attention.
One thing about us, we be right. We know ball. Okay, I want to get to these clips, though. Steven stuck around for postgame.
Real quick.
About Satou,
Oh,
go ahead.
Real quick, I did go through the Basketball Reference archives, and I do have a confirmation. This is the first time in WNBA history that players on the same team have had a triple-double and a double-double in the same game. Wow. Alyssa Thomas and Satou Sabally tonight.
Do we say 1 of 1 or 2 of 2?
2 of 2, but the team is 1 of 1.
That's...
And to Erica's point earlier, imagine if Ka had gotten that other rebound. You would have 2 double-doubles and a triple-double in the same playoff game. This one had never happened. That one had really never happened.
Wow. What a solid performance.
It was. And briefly want to shout out Satou Sabally.
Yep.
The mental fortitude of one Satou Sabally was on full display in today's game. She did not get ahead of herself in any capacity going into game 2 and had her best game of the season. And then came into game 3 and said, I'm going to one-up myself because of the magnitude, the urgency we need to, the context of the game and what's at stake. And Satou just casually 23 points on 14 shots. That's the impact on scoring that you want from Satou. Also grabbed 12 rebounds en route to that. But the key, the barometer for Satou I've spoken to all season long, yes, we know she can score. Yes, we know she's a unicorn. She can do so many different things on the floor. 9 free throw attempts. That means that she was not settling. That means that she was putting pressure on the Liberty every chance she had. If she had a switch, she was posting them up immediately, or she was taking them out to space and then taking whatever shot she felt she was most comfortable with in her rhythm. And to that point, she knocked down, I think, 3 threes in the first half, 3 for 7, and then it finishes the game 4 for 9. 4 for 9 from 3, 7 for 9 from the free throw line, 23 points, 12 rebounds, 2 steals, 2 more steals, and a block shot. Also found some time to get 3 assists in the mix with all of that. She's a unicorn for multiple reasons, and she's finding ways to not just be able to do a bunch of different things, but to have a certain type of impact with doing all of these different things on both ends of the floor that really helps for this Mercury team to play to the style of play they need to be the best version of themselves, which is leaning into the versatility on both ends of the floor.
You could copy and paste a lot of different phrases about so many different players on this team, but one I think that is, we almost haven't killed it enough, is she's a matchup nightmare.
The walking definition of that,
AT is tough, but Satou Sabally, she's so quick. She's very smart. Like tonight when you're getting Stewie and JJ both in foul trouble early on, that is largely in part because of the brains on Satou Sabally and attacking those particular players in order to put them in position to get those fouls. So it was a very intelligent game. We talked about intelligent aggression, I think, 2 months ago now, after a pregame, presser with Nate Tibbetts. And here they are exhibiting exactly that intelligent aggression when it matters the most. And that's what we talked about, playing your best basketball at the best time. And it's best time. It's best basketball. And they are not winning in a recipe they've never intended to win with in the first place. This is the exact recipe that they've always wanted in the first place.
It is. It most certainly is. And I think Satou deserves so much more attention for this series because we just got done talking about people publicly acknowledging that they were wrong about something and giving it the attention that it deserves. How many tweets, how many comments did we hear and see about Satou ain't this, Satou can't do that, Satou's this? People putting her in a box. I think for one, it speaks to the environment that she's operating in, that they infuse more confidence in her. But it also speaks to her buy-in to the situation she's in, the ways that she's being challenged to play in terms of her shot profile and approach to offense and delivering. Satou continuing to take the shots that she knows are her shots, even with having the 2 for 17 game in game 1. and then coming out in game 2 and 3 and playing better in game 3 than she did in game 2, both of which were some of her best playoff games of her career. That speaks to the environment she's operating in, but also speaks to her growth individually. And I think she also mentioned something that's very important. She mentioned it on Sue Bird's podcast. She talked about the team finding a frequency to vibrate on in terms of conflict resolution. You're going to be faced with the adversity as a team and as individuals when you're working towards something bigger than your individual parts. That conflict resolution was on display all series long. And I think some of it came individually, internally with her. Man, I miss all these shots. My team needs me to show up the way that I showed up all season long, and I can't do that if I'm not taking these shots and then come out and do what she did in games 2 and 3. Very, very impressive from Satou. This is a coming out party for her on the playoff stage in particular.
Me and multiple other media members were talking about that this was a great game for literally just that, to have a coming out game for almost anyone on the Mercury outside of maybe 2 or 3 players. That, and Satou is 1/3 of the big 3 construct, but to Steven's point, like, she's been on a historically not very good team that isn't making deep playoff runs. So yeah, it's been a tough go round for, Satou to have an all-time great playoff game. So this gave her a great opportunity in a fantastic environment to do so in, and she delivered when it mattered the most.
Yep. That's what you expect from someone that has the potential that she does. And this is what you expect from the leader that Satou is. They don't win this series without her, and they are going to need more of that from her going forward, especially against this Minnesota Lynx team that's waiting on them.
Well, we're going to get to these post-game presser clips and a little bit of a Lynx preview after this quick break here on the PHNX Mercury podcast. Steven, I think we got to get to Minnie. Soda?
Yes, I think we do.
Although it's
Espo.
Yeah. Although I hear Saul's in town, we got to call up the big guns, get them in line. I don't know if they've heard, but the Mercury's the only playoff team left around, so in the ALLCITY family. So they need to help us out. Everyone needs a checking account. Get them a checking account that's going to help you get to Minnesota with Steven and I. Who knows what's going to happen? Mountain America My Style checking account has just the perks for you. You can enjoy restaurant deals, mobile phone protection, telehealth access, identity protection, loan rate discounts, offers on travel, wink, wink, and much, much more. Make My Style your lifestyle at Mountain America Credit Union. Visit macu.com/mystyle to apply. Insured by NCUA. Membership is required based on eligibility. Some benefits require no cost, registration, or activation. Terms, conditions, and exclusions do apply. A lot of driving this week and a lot of driving next week because I'm going to be up here, there, and everywhere popping around for Mercury playoff basketball. And who's going to help me out? No other than Circle K. Circle K is 100% going to help me out. They're going to get me discounted gas, 25 cents off a gallon on my first 5 fill-ups, 3 cents a gallon on every single fill-up after that. Then when you have been in the club just long enough, you'll get in the 5-cent off club like me, Steven, Kevo. I'm sure Damon Dog out there is also in the 5-cent off club. And then boom, now you're going to get 79-cent Polar Pops, 99-cent Frosters, $1 cookies, 3 for $5 on the Gatorade. When Gatorade releases that Shirley Temple Gatorade, finally, at my wit's end, mind you, I'm going to be tapping in with the Circle K to get the 3 for $5 deal. Boom, with the Inner Circle. You can join the Inner Circle just like me by downloading the app, putting in your phone number, putting in your email address, and boom, you can join the Inner Circle for free by downloading the Circle K app today. Terms and conditions apply at participating locations. Visit circlek.com for details. Woo! I hope everybody's driving safe in the chat, getting home in one piece, staying off your phone, maybe just listening for this chat. If you're still in the car on your way home from the Mercury game here in Phoenix tonight. I know a lot of you were actually headed to the D-backs game after the Mercury game was over, which shows true and real dedication because the D-backs game was quite literally in the 8th inning when the Mercury game ended.
And they were losing.
And they were losing by 3 runs, I think.
Correct.
So that's tough. You guys were very dedicated.
We were talking about that to your point. Me and you and Damon pre-show were like, we believe that the WNBA crowd is the most diehard of diehard fans. You don't find any more committed fans than you do with the WNBA. Like, you don't hear like an NFL crowd, for example, being like, "What are you doing after the game?" "Oh, probably going home, so and so." No, Mercury fans are leaving this game, going to the Arizona Diamondbacks game to show love because that's just how the WNBA rolls. It's like, it really is like a family when you're at the game. It's a different environment. It's really weird.
I need to correct you about something though, really quick, because it might be how other fan bases roll. I don't know, but I know is how Merc Nation rolls. Mercury Nation.
And maybe I am giving too much credit to the other fan bases because I only know this fan base. I've been to a Dream game here and there, but like, you know, it's different.
Another thing, real quick. Go ahead.
The other thing is either they're running to go to the Diamondbacks game or they're running to their laptops or phones or car to watch us.
Agree.
Derek of the PHNX Diamondbacks podcast was watching the Mercury game in press row at the Diamondbacks game.
Shout out the mayor of PHNX. That's Big Derek.
Big Derek. But I do have a question for the both of you really quick before we get into these press conference clips. Okay, We're going to get to it. This is a serious, J podcast, I mean that. But I saw the clip of Mac doing the dance, okay? And I got a question for you guys, okay? Steven, I'm sure you're going to say no. And, that's okay. I understand. But I would like an opportunity to learn the dance. And, maybe if they go far enough, we could do the dance for a cold open. Does the class have thoughts about that?
I'm not trying to do this to Steven on the podcast, but I don't know if he was fully listening because he did just go,
like he's saying yes.
As in I'm listening.
Because I told you this pre-show, Erica, if the Mercury make the finals and they win a game, I will learn the dance with you and I will do the dance with you as our cold open for the show.
Steven?
I'll do it if Natasha Mack comes back on the show to do it with us.
That's
good
not
enough.
as good as that's not as no as Ivan Karchenkov gave me 2 short days ago.
True, but that's good enough. Honestly,
so I'll take it. I will take that answer.
Mac's watching too,
huh?
Mac is watching too. So
clip that, Kevin. I'm gonna need you to clip that.
Might have to
because that I feel like that would convince Mac. All we have is all we need, right?
Not tonight.
I'll do it if Mac comes back on the pod.
All right.
Thanks, Amanda.
Yeah. To all you listeners only, Steven does not dance for free. That's what my girl Amanda said in the chat. Honk, honk. Let's get to these post-game presser clips. Steven, I'll let you kind of guide us through this because my guy was in the building. I had already started my tumultuous journey back to this humble abode.
Yeah, we had some fun post-game press conference moments. Again, I mentioned the disposition of Nate Tibbet, Satou Sabally, and Alyssa Thomas. Definitely proud of themselves, but very laser focused. There was no, oh my God, we did it. It was glad we handled our business. Cool. Now it's on to the next. It genuinely felt like they couldn't wait to get done with post game and respecting the media so that they could get back to preparation. Because I think they understand what it took to get this series and what it's going to take past what it took to get this series to win the next one. So I want to set the tone with that first and then go ahead and roll into the clip. So first one we're going to be looking at their closing offense. So I did a study film session about maybe a month ago on the movement action that they like to get into with Alyssa Thomas and multiple iterations of 2 players screening for each other around Alyssa. We saw a whole lot of that specifically in the second half. We saw more of it in the second half of tonight's win and them really dictating terms with it than we did at any other point throughout the course of this series. And here is what Nate had to say to me about them going to their split cuts more frequently.
I think in just a series and in a game, you try to find different ways to find baskets. Obviously, in the first half, I thought we had a really good half. We scored 45 points. We were looking for the matchups that we wanted. We were playing in our big pick and roll. And then, they came out and were a little bit more aggressive, and then we tried to get into our motion action, and we had some really good reads coming out of timeouts. And Sammy, when you have someone that's willing to screen as a shooter, it really helps, but it also has to do with the passing, right, and the people coming off the cuts. So we had some really good reads in the second half for sure.
So that was very important because it got to a point where they needed to slow the game down, but also not lose their tempo, not lose their flow. And I think they went to it first after a timeout, and they got a quick bucket for Satou Sabally by way of Sammy Wickham passing it to Alyssa and then going to set the little back screen for Satou to dive to the basket. She ended up being wide open because of the attention that Sammy gets as a screener, but also because of the impact of the screen that she set on ball. Satou was literally the most open, the most easy basket of these playoffs that she got because of it. You get from that point to them seeing that it worked and then them spamming it 4 to 5 other times, maybe 6 or 7 other times. Most conveniently, though, they go back to it for the bucket that Kahleah gets at the end of the game. And what's important about that, they go back to that action. New York flips the matchup so that Jonquel Jones isn't involved directly in it. Initially, she was guarding DeWanna Bonner. DeWanna was causing problems in there like she always does. So they put Jonquel on Satou, who's not involved directly in the action. And they end up getting attention, ends up getting out back to Kahleah against the switch. And she just takes off to the basket and finishes. And that's the deciding basket. And she's celebrating with her teammates on the sideline. That execution piece was not there in game one. They probably blew 3 or 4 after timeout scenarios where they had great shot quality. That was not the case in today's game, largely because of the action they were running and their ability to execute and finish.
When you believe in yourself to get the job done and you have confidence and you move with it, everyone can see it. And you're able to execute a lot easier. The game plan is right there. They knew, to my own point earlier, like they didn't beat this team in any different recipe than they've used before. So they had the confidence they needed to get the job done, and it showed in their execution. And that's why we're talking about a win category tonight. So hype me up.
Yeah. And I wanted to, again, just make sure that Sammy Wickham gets her flowers. She incredibly didn't have any assists in this game.
ESPN gave her one.
Exactly. She had one, excuse me. She had one. No turnovers, though. For as much ball handling as she did, Monique did not have her best game today. And if they don't get the step-up ability of Sammy Wickham in the ways in which she did today, they don't get this win. Just the ability to just get things on schedule in ways that don't directly involve Alyssa Thomas having to pull those strings. Sammy being able to get Alyssa open and for opportunities in different ways outside of Alyssa having to create everything herself. Very efficient, very effective. She didn't get but one direct assist, but if you put together passes that she made to someone else that then put the team in position to be successful, she probably did that 5 or 6 separate times. Getting the ball where it needed to be, when it needed to be, and how it needed to get there. Very special. That's why this team is as good as it is. The veteran presences, the experience, it showed up in this game.
Sammy is a workhorse. She put up more shots than anybody in training camp. She's put up more shots than anybody during the season in terms of practice, and it shows. And on top of it, I, from perception, feel as though her and AT are the only 2 people in the entire league that really don't get tired. They just have, pun intended again, an engine that never ends. Never ends out of oil, never runs out of grease, whatever engines need to run. I don't know. I know I fixed my car, but that doesn't make me a car person. And that engine just goes, both of them.
Yeah. I mentioned it earlier in the season. I was like, I don't know what engine is bigger, stronger than a V12. For sports cars, at least that is. But whatever that is, that's Alyssa Thomas. She just keeps going.
Oh, I was going to say, and I'm sorry to interrupt us again with unserious nonsense, but Nike Basketball did put out a tweet about Alyssa Thomas. And if I recall, don't think there's been another one all season. So I'm going to celebrate this one. I know it's about time, and I shouldn't just give them flowers for doing what they should have done all season. But if you don't celebrate them when they do it, they might never do it again. So I'm going to give them this one flower one time. So that way, hopefully I can revisit this conversation and make myself look like an idiot in a year when Nike is the biggest Alyssa Thomas fan account in North America. But Nike basketball says when the engine gets going, it's best you switch lanes. I agree.
About time they showed up.
Square that cubic, I don't even know, multiply that by 3,000. Inject it into my veins, put it in a syringe, I don't care. I'm obsessed. So I saw that while you were talking about the engine part of it and just, wow, inject it.
Yep. That's a great phrase, great tweet. Put it in a commercial.
Yeah. A billboard even.
Even a billboard, but put it in a commercial. I want to see it going on during this series because I'm pretty sure they'll have something for feet going on.
I'm trying to get one of them viewer advisory commercials going for my squad.
For sure. She's more than earned that. If we get it back to the post-game videos.
My bad, y'all.
X-Factor. Y'all were called to task by Satou Sabally. Maybe not directly, but she very much lauded you all for the ways in which you show up. Even before she became a member of the Phoenix Mercury, she always said she appreciated the way that the fans here in Phoenix get behind their team, create a very unique environment. You all showed up and showed out today, and you all received your flowers in post-game today as well.
I got this. They were amazing. Good job. No, I mean, it fuels the fire. It's just so loud. Up, down, they cheer us on, and they keep it going. So whenever we would feel like something isn't going right, like they're just cheering us on, motivating us, but also like the MC, like everyone is just so in it and so invested that it just makes the game a lot more fun, and you want to give 100% every time you have a Mercury jersey on.
Very funny moment there. That was the most smiling that we saw the entire post-game presser, because again, they were very much locked in on what it is that they're working towards. But yes, they acknowledged that they're lauded as having the best home court advantage in the entire W. It felt like it genuinely was an advantage in multiple pockets of this game. And I don't know if there's another fan base that gets as involved as Mercury fans do, even for a regular season game, but you put something that's going up against the reigning champs in an elimination game and creating that type of environment that they did. The tone that they set, a lot of that piggybacked off of the energy that the fans brought. Obviously, Alyssa was a driving force in the literal sense, but the fans edging that on and imploring for more of that. Now you see it triculate to Satou and Kahleah. And then you see Matt getting involved in the ways unique to her. Same thing with Sammy, and it goes down the rest of the line through their 8-player rotation.
Well, and not only did Satou have a little call to action for the Mercury fans, but then pregame today, Stewie doubled down and said, all right, let's hear it. And the X-Factor said, no problem. Heard your request, Miss Girl. We showed up and we showed out, and the 30 ball wasn't enough. It's tough, real tough. And then to piggyback off of what you were just talking about, well, not even, to go back to what we were talking about earlier with the Mercury's discipline as far as arguing fouls, the crowd doing it for you makes it a lot easier for you to hold your tongue a little bit. Because the crowd was making their opinions very much so heard today, multiple different times. I mean, I could barely hear my thoughts tonight. So the crowd showed up, showed out. It was an impressive crowd, especially, I talked about it a little bit earlier, like they were a little late because it was an early game. They were used to starting at 7, so you got to give them credit where credit is due. And they showed up, they did the dang thing, and it was a great game by the X-Factor as well.
Yeah, this was a very, very, very impressive win. I don't know if you get this win without having the crowd so engaged and involved as they were. To the extent of, Kevin, we can go ahead and get this tweet up now from friend of the program, Nikias Duncan. Apparently something was said at halftime from Malika Andrews, and I quote, "You got to crash the glass, not crash out." End quote. First of all, Malika, that is gold. All types of gold. Seeing the ways that Jonquel Jones was reacting to having to deal with friend of the program, Natasha Mack, all series long. Jonquel Jones did not have a single lick of fun. Now, obviously, some of that comes from Alyssa Thomas spending time guarding her, but Natasha Mack spent a lot of time guarding Jonquel Jones in space, guarding Jonquel Jones on the mid post, guarding Jonquel Jones on the low post, and also putting pressure on Jonquel Jones to box her out when the Mercury were on the offensive end. And to that point, Natasha Mack forcing Jonquel Jones into fouls, forcing Jonquel Jones to be beat by just multiple efforts, getting to the offensive boards. Sometimes she didn't get the direct offensive rebound, but put enough pressure on Jonquel and whoever it was else that was around the rim for the Liberty, for someone else on the Mercury to then get that rebound, and now they're going and scoring. Or like I said, she's putting pressure on Jonquel to box her out, and because she puts that pressure on her, now she's picking up a foul. Now she has to come out the game. And these things just add up over the course of the game. Some of these things that Natasha Mack was doing this series, you just don't get a statistical marking for. Does that mean that the impact isn't felt?
Nope.
And because of that, you see the series that Jonquel had. Jonquel is somebody that was arguably the finals MVP for the New York Liberty last season.
She was.
And she was. Excuse me, yes. And that's, excuse me for missing words.
No,
she
don't
was
worry.
that.
That's my girl.
I'm glad you corrected me on that. She was that. It's not easy to break that mental toughness that a champion has. Natasha Mack did it off of just multiple efforts galore on both ends of the floor. Taking away space, breaking rhythm, putting pressure on her. For as loud as other players' games were this series, I think you probably split it 50-50, but it goes between Monika Komakani and Natasha Mack being the unsung heroes of this first round series against the New York Liberty.
I just think back to the regular season and specifically the last two games that the Mercury played against New York when JJ was back, because I believe she got hurt in the first game that they played against each other and then missed the second game and then was back to third and fourth.
Yep.
Mack had her in a blender. And I believe that Jonquel Jones walked into this series filled with fear because Mack had given her fits in the regular season, period, end of story. And so Mack walked in, head held high, ready to go, ready to fill her role, do exactly what the team needed to be done. To Steven's point, hustle is unfortunately not a stat. If it was, Mack would have broke the scale.
It's not a stat, but it is a skill. It's a skill. It's a skill. It's a skill. It is a skill.
And Mack got it.
And she understands how to apply that pressure specifically. That's her calling card for this team.
Yep.
She's an enforcer in multiple ways, but it's not an enforcer in terms of being overexertingly physical with opponents. It's finding specific ways to impact the game. A lot of rebounds that the Phoenix Mercury got tonight were players not grabbing the direct rebound, but tipping the ball for another Mercury member to ultimately be able to get the rebound. Involved in a lot of that was Natasha Mack. You don't get stats for that. The pressure you put on an opponent that leads to your teammates getting an offensive rebound, you don't get a stat for that. Being able to show out on guards and heads so that Sabrina Ionescu can't turn the corner, but holding there long enough for Monika Komakani or Sammy Whitcomb to get back to her and not giving up any type of advantage for the Liberty to play to outside of that. You don't get a stat for that. So many multiple efforts and unscripted points come from Natasha Mack just being who she was. And she put pressure on all of the front court players of the New York Liberty the entire series.
I love that we have really gotten to watch the entire series.
Wake them up,
and
Matt.
journey.
Wake them up.
From start to end, and then it's saying her end. She's
just getting
the
started.
trajectory's still up.
She's still
friend of the
honking.
program after all. And she's just on her way up. And up as high as she can reach. And then still some more left to go. Because she's got a pursuit of the ball, the hustle, immeasurables, intangibles. Better word. Look at me go. And then even the tangibles, because we can go back into the regular season and talk about her too in terms of stats.
Mhm.
So she shut it down tonight. She gets the Silent Killer Award for the night.
I like it.
Okay, period.
She silent killer, but her impact was loud. And I'm double checking just to make sure we're speaking correctly. Game 1, she had 1 offensive rebound. Game 2, she had 2 offensive rebounds, and then tonight I believe she had 2 as well.
Yep.
But again, the 2 for tonight specifically felt a lot louder than just 2 because of the impact of someone else having an opportunity because of her efforts. So.
Well, one of them is late in the game. You're got to backs out JJ. That's not an easy feat. And there's obviously context all of this that we're talking about here, but you're boxing out the Finals MVP from literally a year ago. So, you know, I can imagine that Finals MVP had quite a few O boards attached to it.
Mm-hmm.
Second opportunities, third chances for her team. It's almost as if Mac's taking a lesson out of the book.
Yep. Again, you can't get to winning championships and doing all of these things on the postseason level without being able to get these these efforts on the margins. We talked about them a lot this season. They come in multiple ways with those unscripted points. There are multiple efforts that leading into those. Mac is one of the crowning players for the Mercury and putting those efforts forth for each minute that she's on the floor. So shout out to Mac defending Jonquel Jones the ways in which she did in space and pick and roll and getting back to her in the post and the mid post and isolation. One hell of a series for Natasha Mack. And I think the other big thing for me with Mack is defending without fouling. That's a player that has the ball in her hands a lot, Jonquel Jones.
Yep.
In multiple spots. If you're not sharp, you're either going to be put in a blender, put in foul trouble, or both.
She's not some regular traditional center who just sticks her 1 foot in the paint and catches the ball and goes in on you. No, she's
arguably the most unique center to ever play on the W side. And Mac just had probably the best defensive showing we've seen against Jonquel Jones, at least in recent memory, since she got her MVP. I haven't seen anybody shut Jonquel Jones' water off the ways in which Mac did. Now, obviously, she did it in tandem with Alyssa because Alyssa was guarding her when Mac wasn't on the floor. But Mac, when she spent that time guarding Alyssa, or when she spent that time guarding Jonquel, she was not having fun at all. She was not having her way. So shout out to Mac defending without fouling, applying the lessons learned throughout the season and last season in real time. And
Mac,
this is what she did.
Have we shouted you out enough to get you back on the show? Because I need you to get Steven to do the dance. So I hope that the flowers are being received by the Mac truck. Kevin, what's up?
Oh, we know the flowers are being received by the Mac truck. I don't want to step on Steven's game here, but he did make a tweet earlier that Mac found. And it was already been mentioned by the chat, but Mac found it and reposted it. Steven, what you got?
I mean, she wants to be acknowledged for how good her defense is and has been and has sustained at a certain level all season long. This is a player that we both felt would be in the most improved race in some capacity. Obviously, health withstanding. If she's healthy, she finishes top 5 in that for sure with the ways in which she played for this Mercury team. But I mean, I was just shouting her out for the defense that she's been playing all season long, but especially this series. Jonquel Jones is an all-star, all-W caliber player. This is not easy. Like, most people have a terrible time trying to guard Jonquel Jones. But for the disposition of Mac, for the maturity of Mac, but also the understanding of what to do and what not to do even more so, she kept it simple, and she just did what the coaches asked her to do, but did it so impactfully that it had a resounding effect on the series. You don't win this series without holding Jonquel to the numbers that Jonquel had this series, which were severely lower than what her worst prior to this series ever was for her playoff career.
Well, I most certainly hope that no one chose Liberty in 2 because, the starting center on the Mercury is Natasha Mack. Because if you watch this show, you would know that Natasha Mack had the biggest offseason of anyone on this team. So I just sprinkle on the goatness, you know? What do those people say? Poor honey. Well, I don't understand it because I'm mildly dumb, but pour honey on my goat.
I believe Shannon Sharp was talking about LeBron. Correct me if I'm wrong, Steven. And he was
Yes.
like, I'm
Of
pouring
course he
honey
was.
on you, GOAT.
Of course he was
I don't know
talking
why
about
he
Bron.
said he's going to pour honey on LeBron's body, but he did. And so now people just say, I'm pouring honey on you, GOAT, to like give flowers to their GOAT. But maybe you should find different ways to say that.
I think it's funny.
It is funny,
But I had never understood. I'm glad I had mentioned it so I can understand.
Is giving flowers not enough?
You got to give honey
yeah,
sometimes.
I want to pour some honey.
I gotta go pour honey on stuff.
You got to give honey sometimes.
I just feel like it's a little extra. And that's what our friendship is with Mac. You know, friend of the year. Oh, man. The mayor is here.
The mayor is in
The
town.
mayor is here.
Yeah. Go, Kevin. Too sweet.
Too sweet.
Oh, man. Ooh, that's what I was giving me.
Let's go.
That is host of the Diamondbacks podcast, the mayor of PHNX.
Known Mercury
Derek.
lover.
Yes. No Mercury, obsessive Mercury lover.
Borderline Stan.
I would say he is.
Stay tuned for his next meeting with the mayor video dropping on our YouTube. Some people might be saying the Mercury have a lot to say in that video.
Mm-hmm.
I hope he used the Thundersticks in the video. But if he hasn't filmed it already, he should add the Thundersticks.
That I won't spoil it, but that fits perfectly into the script, and I will have him make an edit.
Perfect. All right, guys. I think we got 3 more clips to get to, so I want to get to them so that way we can get a little bit of conversation about the Lynx in.
Yeah.
Let's get cracking.
So listen very carefully to when this clip starts. I want to make sure everybody's got their listening ears ready to rock out for this because there were some things said, and there's again, the disposition point that I continue to bring up is exactly where I want your attention to be. So as far as lessons learned from this series and lessons learned specifically from game 1 that they then applied to game 2 and game 3, Alyssa Thomas had specific choice words that matched with the way that this team responded in the latter 2 games of this series.
That we were the better team. I think, we played pretty good defense. We held them below their average. We just missed a lot of shots. And for us, it was just about going to get the next one and bringing it back home to win it on the run floor.
You heard what she said. They came into this series believing that they were the better team. The ways in which the regular season series played out suggest that they should certainly have felt that way. And they did not allow for mishaps, anomaly-type situations that arose in game 1 to be a speed bump for them in any capacity. They just doubled down on their habits. They doubled down on the things that got them to the 4th seed and as high as the number 1 seed and simply got the job done. That stillness that you saw Alyssa Thomas speak with, that's not faking. She didn't mince her words at all. And every way in which they wore it on their sleeves as far as them feeling that they were the better team, you could see it showing in multiple moments throughout the course of game 2 and game 3, but you certainly saw it even in game 1. I feel like even in post-game game 1, the stillness that her and Kahleah Copper were speaking with, they weren't moved. They didn't blink at losing game 1. The team has a certain type of confidence that they're aware that they're still showing themselves in terms of proving that they're capable of doing certain things, but they're very much confident in their process, all of the lumps that they took along the way, and where they are in this moment, where their feet are, which is now going into the 2nd round with the opportunity against the team that was also represented in last season's WNBA Finals.
Well, and it sets you up when you have to go play the best team in the league, undoubtedly so, the best team in the league.
Mm-hmm.
It sets you up to play with confidence. And we've talked at length about these players being rhythm players. And what better way to roll in with rhythm? And like we talked about the downfall of the rest part of it, right? Where, the Lynx are sitting at home right now, basically watching this game saying, oh boy, Phoenix is headed our way. And that certainly stinks if you're the Mercury. But to my own point, Alyssa Thomas doesn't get tired. Sammy Whitcomb doesn't get tired. This is playoff basketball, and they're playing with confidence. They're playing good basketball at the right time, and so they're hitting on all cylinders right when they're about to need it the absolute most, and you can't ask for more from your team.
You really cannot, and there's a balance with rest. obviously is certainly appreciated when the opportunity comes around for it. But you also don't want for your rest to take away from the rhythm that your team is playing in. And the way that the Mercury have been playing these last 2 games is right where they want to be. Some of their best basketball all season long. Game 2 is their best defensive performance the entire season. Game 3 was their best comprehensive game in terms of when the stakes have been high and them needing to get it against a team with their season on the line. And you don't want to lose that feel. You don't want to lose that rhythm. Now, obviously, it's going up against a different opponent. So game plan-wise, execution-wise, demand-wise, everything is completely different. You can't copy and paste what got you this series win into the next series because that's a completely different team. But the competitive stamina part, the confidence part, the execution part, that's what you want. They're in a certain space right now in games 2 and 3 that if they can find ways relative to this upcoming series to apply that there, they have some chance to make some things happen. And all you can ask for is an opportunity as a competitor, and they've awarded themselves that via handling their business in round 1.
If they can, and I don't want to get too ahead of myself here, but if they can win 1 game of the first 2 in Minnesota.
That's the goal.
Oh, my. I'm going to be insufferable on the internet. Erica Day, watch out. Because Erica's going to be every which way. I'm going to have a lot to say about this. So, please. What?
I just wanted to talk about that clip that Steven played real quick.
Go ahead.
Alyssa Thomas does not say a lot in terms of like boisterous confidence kind of stuff. Very quiet killer. Listen when Alyssa Thomas actually speaks up. She led that with the most important piece. And that's what was real about this series. So I'll keep it at that.
She's not going to sugarcoat things. She's also never going to blow smoke either. She's very intentional about choice of words, tone. And again, as the leader of a team, that is somebody that you would want to run through a wall for. Because for one, she would do it for you. And she's never asking you to do something that she's not willing to do herself. So shout out to Alyssa for continuing to set the tone, but also not allowing for this team to get ahead of themselves, but also going all the way back to training camp, coming in and asking, are they going to play some defense? And you see what got them to win in this series in the first round. It's going to take more of that over the next week and a half. Transitioning on, though, got to also hear from Nate Tibbetts speaking about Satou and Alyssa Thomas choosing Phoenix and really just kind of opening up a little bit on how important it was that they did, the kind of challenges that they worked against in terms of understanding that those two had the entire league at their palm in terms of choosing where they wanted to go. And here's what Nate had to say about that, and it culminating in a first-round win for them.
I'll start with AT, but really both of these two for taking a chance and coming to Phoenix is pretty awesome. They could have picked anywhere to go, and we're super thankful and blessed to have you guys here. Is that AT's first triple-double of the year? No, I mean, listen. Hey, listen. I think we're just kind of getting used to it. I mean, this is just what she does, right? She impacts the game in so many different ways. She cares about one thing, and that's winning. And you know, when you've got a player of her caliber with that much pride to win a game and do whatever it takes, you're going to have a great team.
So a little comedic relief from Nate Tibbetts, saying that was AT's first triple-double. Very, very fun post-game moment there. You can genuinely tell that the head coach and the big three not only vibe with each other, but they're intentional about spending time with one another, which then allows for them to comfortably navigate the things that would usually be uncomfortable. Where some teams might wither when they get met with resistance and adversity naturally through the game, they just come closer together. And I think the ways in which Nate was speaking about both of those two, and then obviously about Alyssa afterwards, it just really is like a peek behind the curtain into the relationship and the personality fit of all of these pieces together. Nate is different from Satou, and Satou is different than Alyssa. And all three of them are different from Kahleah. But when you put them all together, it's like a puzzle being put together, if you will. And all the puzzle pieces kind of feel like they fit very well for this team.
It was December of last year, and you and I talked about Satou in the Valley.
While
And
everybody was talking about Satou to New York because she was
at
celebrating
the
her
championship
sister
parade. I guess it must have been
as
September.
any sister
then.
would.
Yeah.
It was like
And
right
best
before.
believe if the Mercury go on to win the whole thing, Nyara is going to be at the parade, you guys. This is news to you guys. Just because they knocked them out in the first round doesn't mean Nyara is not going to catch the invite to the parade. Okay, so catch that. But, we talked about Satou in the Valley. I could have never in a million gazillion years dreamed of the gift that Alyssa Thomas would be alongside of them and what it would be like having all three of them together. And when we talked about it again in February or March, right before training camp, we talked about, the point guard of it all, obviously, and then the center of it all, obviously. But we never had any sorts of doubts about the big three coming together to play incredible basketball. And so just watch them deliver upon those fruits when all of them are healthy. It feels like a big old gift from the basketball gods to the Phoenix Mercury, especially after how they started the season with the injury bug.
This might be the best back-to-back stretch of games that they've had, all three of them comprehensively together. Game 2, you look at halftime, I think 37 points for the New York Liberty. The big three had 37 points combined amongst those three alone. And then you look at tonight's game, each one of them has 9 or more rebounds. Kahleah comes within 1, and if I go back and watch the film, she probably isn't credited for a rebound that she probably should within that. And the emphasis on rebounding, and those three in particular stepping up the ways in which they did. Again, this might have been their best comprehensive game, following up the one that they had prior on the road to get back even in this first round series. They're playing the way that they need to. They're finding the pockets. They're being intentional with the usage of each one of those three. They're getting there. And now there's a new challenge that's going to await them in the second round that's going to test them in unique ways. And we'll see what they got. But at this present moment, again, rhythm-wise, they're vibing the exact way that they need to. It's not too much of either one of those three, but it's the perfect amount in the ways in which they're going about operating on both ends of the floor.
And when you've got them operating in that type of space, they know that they have to show up for each other. Because if Kahleah or Satou don't show up, AT can't have that triple-double, period. Point blank. And so they know they have to show out for each other. They know they have to show up and be confident in what they're trying to get accomplished. And the job becomes a lot easier. So I think, do you have one more clip left? I think. Perfect.
So the perfect way to cap and round things off as far as the clips go. Yet another triple-double for Alyssa Thomas. She's ridiculous. She genuinely is ridiculous. Here is the post-game clip for, I believe it's Nate speaking again on just how special Alyssa Thomas's performance was in tonight's game.
I'm extremely proud of this group, right? We've talked about it all year. Every time we go through something, it's going to be the first time together. Now, we've got a lot of veteran players on our team that have done it in, with other organizations or other teams, but, you never really get it as a group until you go through some stuff. And, I've just been proud the whole year. Like in close games, we've been really good, and I think it's because we guard and there's a certain level of trust.
The team is special, and they're showing it in these timely moments like this. We held them accountable for the post-All-Star break loss against the Atlanta Dream. A game that they needed to have for standings purposes and just for confidence purposes. Coming back healthy, one of the first games that they had comprehensively together with DeWanna Bonner in the rotation. Didn't get the job done there. Lost 2 games to the Las Vegas Aces that we called gotta have it. as far as the standings implications, a team that was creeping up behind you in the standings and ultimately usurped you because of those wins that they got in that like 4 or 5 day stretch where you played them here in Phoenix and then played them in Vegas. But the silver lining for that for me, and I mentioned it in those moments, was as things kind of got in a frenzy, people started questioning, oh, are they frauds? Oh, they're not going to be able to get it done. This big three is not going to work together. Nate doesn't know what he's doing. Why is the lineup shrinking? Silver lining for me was if you apply the lessons you learned from that stretch of games, when it matters most down the home stretch, you can do some things. And we saw them do that in this series. I think this series is a small 3-game slate that's an example of a team learning through the losses, learning through the wins in that stretch of games as well, and applying it in real time. I've said that a couple of times this pod because it's held true. The moments where Nate would have shifted to certain lineups, he figured out, no, if I condense it and we play the 8 that we feel are going to need it, that are going to be needed most against a majority of the teams we go against in the playoffs, they'll figure it out. And he extended them a runway to just figure it out. He gave them creative freedom to, in multiple lineup constructs amongst the 8-player rotation, just figure it out. And that's the best way to surmise this series. They just simply figured it out. It wasn't always pretty. It wasn't always on script. They just figured it out.
I'm genuinely thinking back to when DeWanna Bonner picks up her 5th foul. Timeout's immediately called right after. DeWanna Bonner immediately is having a conversation with Nate Tibbetts, and I can only imagine that that conversation has to be about, are you able to stay in the game? And DeWanna Bonner very confidently answers yes, stays in the game, and what ends up happening? Clutch bucket to win the game. Like,
that's trust.
That's trust, right? That's the runway you're talking about. And, you know, who on this team has played more minutes together outside of DeWanna Bonner and Alyssa Thomas? Like, who do you want in those final minutes of the game in together on the floor? Those two players making plays together. And when they have the runway to do so, it's successful time after time after time after time. That, I don't know about in years past, but in the clutch this year, that's got to be the best duo in the WNBA.
It's one of them for sure. I think historically, they've just been doing a lot of things that most duos haven't done.
They can't.
It's never been in question whether the duo of DeWanna and AT can win. What's been in question is the pieces around them. And that's never been something that's been questioned since DeWanna stepped foot in the desert. Since the proposition of her becoming a Phoenix Mercury player was a thought exercise, that wasn't something that came into question. And that just speaks to how special this team is and what they're working towards. DeWanna comes in brand new to the situation, and the first thing she essentially says is, I don't want to step on anybody's feet because they clearly have something going on, and I'm just going to essentially get in where I fit in. And you know what the team's response to that was? No, DeWanna, we need you to be DB. We don't need you to get in where you fit in. We need you to be that all-time great player that you are. You don't lead the playoffs in points and rebounds by accident. Like, you don't stumble into that. And you don't do that while playing across multiple roles on multiple teams and seeing success at the highest level and doing that. We need you to be yourself. And that goes back to my hand and glove fit, that puzzle piece fitting perfectly next to one another. It was a perfect match. And I think Nate's spoken to that a few times. Few people were questioning DeWanna individually, but also questioning why would Phoenix want to go and add DeWanna Bonner to the team that was already working well. I think at that point they may have had the best record in the W or top 2 at worst. And
they're coming off this 7-game win streak, which is loud. And like, I didn't necessarily fault the people that felt that way if you're not watching this team week after week after week. Or if you are unfamiliar with DeWanna Bonner as a player, which some fans are, fine. But if you have been watching, it didn't throw a wrench in things like y'all thought. There is no wrench here.
You don't hesitate to bring in a DeWanna Bonner to your team because you've seen her win at the highest level in multiple roles. That shouldn't be something that you hesitate to do. Especially understanding the care factor for her in respect to the situation that she's coming into and wanting to find a way to have impact instead of, no, I'm only going to play one way, and if it's not that way, I'm just not going to come. Like, she was very clear that she had as much humility as you possibly could as an all-time great coming into a situation that was going well and finding a way to intentionally just add value. DeWanna's special. And I know there's a lot of conversations about the points only having 4 in this one and the fouls having 5. She still had 8 rebounds.
Dude, and to be honest, like, I don't want to make this the ref show. That's not what this is about.
Mm-hmm.
But Stewie was getting away with a whole heck of a lot on DeWanna Bonner in particular.
Mm-hmm.
And DeWanna Bonner was getting called for a whole hell of a lot in regards to Stewie in particular.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, you're not going to compete with the superstar whistle in that situation anyways.
Mm-hmm. I appreciate DeWanna because the way she defends is like it's hard to teach that way. Like the way she defends, you can tell every decision she's making is calculated because it's coming from preparation, studying habits, understanding what teams like to do in certain pockets with certain player combinations, with certain player tandems and specific actions. It might look like sometimes she's taking risks, and it might sometimes be a risk, but it's not a risk that isn't coming without preparation.
Yep.
I've seen you do this. It's something that she's seen happen on film multiple times and understanding how she can provide impact. I'm thinking of a moment in game 2 where she shoots off script to go and attempt to get a steal, and she's not successful in getting a steal, but she is successful in throwing the rhythm of what they're trying to get into off. And they're ultimately able to get a stop, and I think she ends up going down and scoring on the other end because of the way in which she sent their offense off script. DeWanna's special, and she has a lot of moments. She defends very uniquely from most defenders that I've seen, not just on the ball, but even more so off the ball, where some players get lost watching the ball and trying to pay attention to what's going on. She's always on a string in respect to what's going on with the opponents on the offensive end, and you just can't put a value on players that have that IQ and that feel and that level of preparation that she comes with on a daily basis.
She's a winner through and through. She knows how to win. She's going to impact the game. And to Steven's exact point, with or without points, she's going to pull out winning plays for the team.
I think she said verbatim, some people were asking her about her scoring impact. And she basically said, I'm not quoting directly, but she basically was saying, like, I think there's a misunderstanding on, like, my impact on the game. She was essentially saying, I'm a player that can score, but I'm not a player that lives solely off of scoring the basketball. She's willing to make a cut to get extra attention that opens up someone else. And she'll do that 15 times and not touch the ball and not bat an eye. She's also a player that's going to sacrifice defensively in the ways that the team needs to as well. DeWanna's special. And this team doesn't get this series win without DeWanna Bonner being who she was at the times with which she was who she was in this series.
Oh, Merc Nation is finally here, y'all.
Yeah.
Damon Dog himself. Merc Nation has arrived.
Wow. That's special.
I want to say, like, pigs are flying outside. Holy cow. This is crazy.
You love to downplay Damon's love for the Merc. You really do.
Would you like to go back to the AZ Wildcats pod, I don't know, in early August? Because I actually don't want to. I actually got mad. He was real life rage baiting me, and I was real life rage baiting him today. Sometimes you get what you ask for.
That's my co-host. I don't often speak for him.
We were friends first, but it's fine.
But I will right now. I know the man's heart, and the man's heart bleeds purple and orange for the Mercury. That is a fact.
I'm gonna pull some tweets maybe that, you know, may beg to differ.
Tweets, schmeets. It happens. You know, sometimes you tweet something and it just isn't what your heart feels. And it happens. But Damon loves this team.
And you know what happens
team.
every
He
time?
loves this.
People bookmark it.
Who was fighting with me vehemently?
Let's talk about that, actually, because listen, we got to talk about this matchup versus the Lynx, okay?
Yes.
Listen, because Steven, I'm gonna be honest with you, okay? I'm a little nervous.
No purr in this series.
Yeah, I don't. Oh yeah, we gotta cut the big purr out, okay?
Ain't
Cat,
no
big
purring.
purring, okay? Cat can still play great, and we can make other cat puns, but no purring.
Cat's gonna do what she do, but ain't no purring in this series.
I'm gonna say what I think the biggest key is, and then I want to hear what you think your biggest key is. And I don't do the keys, so y'all are just getting me off the cut here. I'm gonna say the cut is limiting Kahleah McBride. You're not gonna cut off Napheesa Collier, right? Like Napheesa Collier is top 2 in MVP voting if we were to guesstimate what we're gonna be seeing, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're not gonna get her off.
Alyssa. Sweet Schmeats Liberty Bibberty. That's a tongue twister.
I can't even try to say it. I will get screwed up.
Liberty Bibberty probably should have been our thumbnail, low key, but it's
you
all
know
good.
what it is though, right?
It's all good.
No free ads.
Oh, it is for real?
No free ads.
It's night.
Oh, night, yeah. I thought it was night, yeah.
I'm sorry, but
Liberty Bibberty would have been fun.
it came to me, and I just wanted to post pictures.
And
for it
Ellie
to
did
be
not
honest.
have fun this series. Not to get back on track with moving forward,
yeah,
but
I
What did
think-
Ellie?
I think Kahleah McBride's the biggest key because
uh-huh.
Kahleah McBride can score at an extremely high volume very quickly.
Mhm.
And so I think if you can shut her water off and make somebody else do a lot of the dirty work, then we might have ourselves a game. Again, I don't think that shutting Napheesa Collier down is going to be might be the key to one of the 5 games, but I don't think it's going to be the key to the series.
Mm-hmm. The key to the series for me is going to be mental stamina, or competitive stamina rather, and that mental toughness, because this Minnesota Lynx team is a machine. And the Phoenix Mercury have not seen this Minnesota Lynx team with one Dejanay Carrington. And that's important to note because this is a team that already had the best defense in the W. They got somebody that was firmly in the Defensive Player of the Year conversation last season. Somebody that's a true wrecking ball in multiple respects. And that comes after having a co-Defensive Player of the Year that's also defending in tandem with the player that won Defensive Player of the Year last season. There's a lot of defense. So for the Mercury, they have to execute on both ends of the floor. There's no margin for error. And that's a lot to put a team up against, but this is what the playoffs are for. You come into the season saying you come into the season everybody understanding that your goal is a championship. You got to beat the best to be the best, and you did that with the reigning champs, and your reward for beating the reigning champs one day later is now to go up against the team that beat the team that you're going up against in the second round. So they got their work cut out for them, but it's mental or it's competitive stamina and execution for me. And I can be spliced up in different ways, and we'll get into that, but that's the biggest thing for me because a team that's not going to make many mistakes, that team up north. And that's where a lot of the reverence and respect comes from with them. Cheryl Reeve, in multiple iterations, her teams are just very much tacticians, if you will. They're very, very good with what they do and how they do it.
When you have a team that's had as much time together as they have, it makes it very easy to not make mistakes.
That's the crazy part, though. They haven't been together that long. This iteration's only been together for 2 years.
Which
Crazy
feels
enough,
ancient
it feels
in this
like a long
league
time
right
for sure.
now.
Yeah, with so much turnover from last year to this year, that's true.
It's crazy.
But the fact that this team didn't have Jessica Shepard last year.
And she is a big, capital
No,
B.
just big, period. But also a big problem. Like, Jess Shepard is a dog. Like, and I'm not undermining everything that the New York or that the Phoenix Mercury are.
I'm like, what team? Wildcats.
Yeah, I'm not undermining what Phoenix has, but this is a different type of. It's the same animal, and since we're quoting Kobe, this is the same animal but a different beast.
What does that mean, Kobe Bryant?
Yes.
If you know, you know.
Yes, correct. This team is really good, and it's gonna get the best out of the Phoenix Mercury. And that's what I'm looking forward to most. But if we want to look past just the competitive stamina execution piece, Courtney Williams and Napheesa Collier, one of the best 2-player tandems in the entire WNBA. Pick and rolls, big, small, big, handoffs galore. Can you slow them down, and can you find ways to speed them up as well? You got to take something off the table from them. I go back to a moment where this was probably July, where we were talking about Alyssa Thomas. And Alyssa Thomas being able to guard someone like Paige Beckers. Alyssa Thomas being able to guard someone like Kelsey Mitchell at times. Ari McDonald at times. All of these guards. And I talked about Monique Cole-McConaughey's defensive ability in navigating screens. And Monique being able to guard someone like Kayla McBride instead of Courtney Williams. This puts a demand on Satou Sabally, but we just got done speaking about how well Satou's guarded players like Breanna Stewart in this series. If Satou's able to hold up against guarding someone like Napheesa Collier, and it allows for Alyssa Thomas to play to her defensive versatility, maybe one possession she's guarding Alyssa Smith. The next possession she's guarding someone like Courtney Williams. And Napheesa Collier and Courtney Williams are trying to get into their multitude of two-player actions. And it's Alyssa Thomas that's involved with Satou Sabally. And you're flipping the actions that they love to get into switches. If you're able to find wrinkles within the game to apply your versatility and put pressure on them and take something off the chessboard that they love to lean into and they lean into impactfully, what does that do for Minnesota? What does that do for your team in terms of finding routes to success and finding ways to sustain? Maybe it just happens for a couple of possessions and they win a 3-minute stretch in the fourth quarter that ultimately gets them to win. Yep. Maybe they go to that for a significant portion of the series. This is the versatility that they have, and they're gonna have to lean into that heavily in this series.
Do you think that Monique Cole-McConaughey is just important in this series as she was in the series against New York?
Yep, because who's been one of the biggest thorns in the sides of the Phoenix Mercury the last 2 years, and especially in PHX Arena, even going back to the All-Star game or three-point contest and All-Star game last year? K-Mac.
Yeah.
K-Mac's had too much fun going against the Phoenix Mercury the last 2 years.
That's why I said turn it off.
Some of it has been because of the attention that two-player action gets, and you have to help or show help in some capacity from the periphery. And now she's wide open, taking the shots that she wants, and she's never met a three-point shot that she doesn't like, nor that she doesn't think she can make. So if you are able to flip the matchups to where you're able to put Satou on Napheesa and be impactful there, and you can put Alyssa on someone like Courtney Williams or Alyssa Smith and just kind of play the matchup game and play some chess, that's where this series is going to have to be won. It's going to take thinking and operating outside the box, if you will, because this team is not this team is just different from everybody else.
What I'm hearing is Nate Tibbetts might need to give Steven a call.
I ain't going to go that far.
And I didn't mean that derogatory. I'm sure it's late, y'all. Okay, it didn't.
Sure.
It didn't.
I hear you. I appreciate it for sure, but I imagine if I've thought about it, they've already considered it and probably wanted to hold their cards close to the vest in the regular season and not show their hand fully. So we're gonna have some fun with the technical and tactical side of this upcoming series. Kevin has his hand raised as if we're in class, but we are not.
Well, because you're about to teach us, Steven. Real quick, we did have a question in the chat earlier. I forget who asked it. But they wanted to know about the rotation for the Lynx series. Yeah. They wanted to know if it will be expanded to Lonnie and more bigs, or if it will be like we saw in this series against the Liberty. Do you think that we have a similar rotation that we saw that they had there, the Liberty, or do you think they expanded to give people more rest because you just had such a physical series?
It's not going to expand in the front court for me. I think the front court is set with Kat Westbeld and DeWanna Bonner off the bench. If anything, we might see a little bit of Lexi Held in this series potentially. If I'm just thinking from my perspective on it, I don't know if it expands past Lexi potentially, but that 8 that we've been watching play the last month and a half consistently, that's who they're rolling with. That's the team. That's the group of 8 players that plays to the identity and style that they're desiring to play, regardless of opponent. It's less about what opponent they're going up against, and it's more so about what they can get out of that 8. And we just saw what that 8 did against the reigning champs. If they can beat the reigning champs with that 8, why budge?
Well, and to your point, this team either didn't have DeWanna Bonner or DeWanna Bonner was brand new to the team the last time the Mercury saw the Lynx. And we've talked about what a plug and pull that DeWanna Bonner is. Like, she's not just someone that, and like, again, this is no slight to Kalani Brown or Kit Loxa. It's just the two players I'm going to use in this situation. Those players are not substitutes for what DeBonna Bonner is able to do at all. And so, you know, I think that you're probably correct. I don't think we're going to see anyone beyond these 8 players unless the game is either completely won for the Mercury or completely lost for the Mercury. And there's probably not much in between.
I think there's going to be a unique challenge and demand for everything that New York did. Minnesota operates in similar ways, but it's not the exact same. And that's what I mean by different animal, or same animal but a different beast. It's going to be fun. I want people, like, obviously everybody that's watching this probably is in support of the Phoenix Mercury. I hope that you all did this during this first round series, but in the second round series, especially because you have a 5-game sample that you're looking at potentially instead of just 3, make sure while you're cheering the Mercury on, you take some time to appreciate the level of basketball that's being played, because this is some of the best basketball that you're going to see across the entire world. I don't care what gender of basketball it is. I don't care what level of basketball it is. This is going to be some of the best basketball that you're going to be able to see. And that's following up a series that had a whole lot of that in this first round between these two teams in New York and Phoenix. So be ready to enjoy the basketball product that's on the court, and then also watch your Phoenix Mercury be challenged and step up to the occasion in ways in which we maybe haven't even seen quite yet. This team did not enjoy shooting the 3-ball that well this series. They're going to need that 3-ball to fall. Not saying that that's their end-all, be-all, but they're going to have to make more shots from deep to win next series than they did in this series.
When you look at this matchup, I want to just talk about it from a general perspective here. 5-game series, if you guys didn't know, 2 in Minnesota, 2 in Phoenix, and then, if needed, a deciding Game 5 back in Minnesota. How do you 5-game series? How do you see it landing? And then Game 1 score predictions.
I think Phoenix can continue to shock the world, and the world being a national media realm, because it's full of non-believers. And I imagine they're saying stay on that side. Mercury versus everybody, Mercury vibes only. They wear that on their sleeves and their shoulders. And they're going into this series knowing that their odds are going to be stacked against them. And they're just going to embrace that. And I think this is going to be something that is going to be very telling in seeing how they come out and they show themselves in this series. I can tell you that team is, everybody in that locker room is not afraid of going up against Minnesota. You heard what AT said for going up against the reigning champs. If they think that of themselves going up against the reigning champs, what makes you think they're going to think anything less of going up against any other team in the W? No matter what team it is, what players they might have on that team, what accolades they might receive mid-series potentially. That's cool. Check ball. You still got to see us. And that's very much the way that they're wearing that cloth. And I think they're gonna do it. I think they get it in 5. It's gonna take 5, but that 5th game being on the road, what's special to me, they were so good on the road this season. And you saw what they needed to do to get back home in this first round series. They had to go get one on the road to stave off elimination, and then ultimately reap the benefits of handling their business on the road. It's going to take the same type. I think it's going to go the distance. It's going to be a bunch of clutch games. And I'll even go as far as to say I think Phoenix might be able to go and get Game 1.
I need you to know.
And I'm not saying that as a quote-unquote homer, all of that fun stuff. I think that because of the way that they're playing and the level that their defense is at specifically. One thing Minnesota feeds off of is hardly ever taking bad shots that put their defense in compromise and transition, but also hardly ever turning the ball over as well. Courtney Williams has a vice grip on the basketball and pick and roll. Hardly makes a bad decision. The ways that Phoenix can get after it defensively, that's slowing them down and speeding them up dynamic that I'm speaking to, in tandem with the versatility and the ability to cross-match and all of that fun stuff defensively, that's where I think is where they can do things and put pressure on Minnesota differently than any other team in the W could. And because of that, I think that's a dictation piece for them. That's one way that they can always poke and apply pressure. If they do it the right ways and their execution, I continue to bring that up. That's the hot word for the series. If the execution is there, they have a chance to do what people already didn't think they could do in the first round, but double down on that in the second round. So I'll say Mercury in 5, but a hotly contested, probably every game in the clutch type of 5 games.
Real quick, before Erica gives her official prediction, I wanted to say that this kind of tails with the conversation you and I were having pre-show, Stephen, about how hyped up I was about this W. And not because it was a series clinching W, but not only that, it was a, like you said in your one word, Burn, affirming victory. And not just affirming that this big 3 or Fantastic 4 was exactly who we thought they were, but also that when the chips were down, they could compete like champions against former champions, right? And I think that this win, like you said, you still got to see them. And this is ball. The Lynx are a hell of a team.
The best in the W.
But so are the Mercury, right? Yep. And so you still have to play those games. And the Mercury have proven that they can go against the best of the best. So if you are a Phoenix Mercury fan, you should be pretty confident that they can go give the Lynx at least a run for their money at the very least.
Confidence with reverence, I think, is appropriate. You respect everything that Minnesota has been for the last 20 years or whatever. Sharif has been at the helm of things there. There's reverence, but there's also confidence in self. And X-Factor for me this series, Satou Sabally. Your team needs you to sustain that competitive edge.
Even-keeled.
Stay even-keeled, exactly what I'm getting at. Stay within the game, but also have that impact on both ends of the floor. Your versatility is going to need to be at a high level in this series. No different than it was against New York, but even to another level.
Yep.
So Satou's my X factor for the series. Mercury in 5.
I'm going to say this. Kevin is right. I came in probably a little gloomier than Kevin or Damon were expecting after that win. Frankly, my tummy hurts a little bit, so that is primarily why.
Oh, tummy trouble.
My tummy does hurt a little bit, but that's okay. Crap happens and you die. But, I didn't want to be too excited. I've learned from Steven. I didn't want to be too hype and then boom, now about being, now my dreams are crushed. But then as Kevin and Damon were so kindly hyping me up for this pod, I literally said, I just got to talk to Steven on the pod. That's all I need. I'm going to feel a lot better after I have a little conversation with Steven on the pod.
I'm glad.
And now I feel much better. I feel relieved. I said before you got here, I said, all I need is for them to win one game on the road in these first 2. If they can win one of these first 2, I'm going to be in good spirits. I'm going to say it now, though. If they can win that first game, I think Mercury can do it in 4. If they can win that game 1, give me game 1. The Lynx haven't lost a game in the playoffs yet. Granted, they've only played 2, but they merely escaped from the freaking Golden State Valkyries.
They had to come back.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, in crazy fashion and a tough to play environment. And so, as much as we're sitting here talking about, they're resting, they're probably exhausted from having to play the way they just played, yesterday? So, at least they get one less day of rest as opposed to if they were playing on the same, Anyways, I think Mercury, I'm going to say Mercury in 4. And that's because I am Homer. I am excited. And I am amped up. This podcast, I actually got more excited as the podcast went on today as opposed to what I normally do when I come back down to the God's green earth. So I'm going to say Mercury in 4. This first game is going to be an exciting one, I think. To your point, the Mercury is hot right now. They're locked in. They're playing really great basketball. Nate isn't running onto the court getting technical fouls at stupid times. I saw MCG Blue, my guy Mark, up in the comments earlier talking about how I need to give Nate Tibbetts his flowers. Here's your flowers, but watch it, because I'm your biggest fan. But I also get more comments than anyone else when the things go poorly. Everyone wants me to yell at you, and I don't want to yell at you. Not on the pod, not off the pod, never. I never want to yell out of disappointment, only love and adoration and winning glowing reviews. So I'm going to go Mercury in 4, and they're going to win game 1, and I'm going to be here on Sunday screaming and yelling Mighty Mercury at the top of my top and lungs with Kevin. And you, obviously. But
For
you
sure.
don't usually yell.
I don't. I'm not a yeller.
But he could be a dancer. We had a lot of conversations on this pod today, but by far, not even close, the most important one was the one about the dance.
I imagine Mac not coming on the show no time soon unless they get a chip. So that puts everything in perspective for me to. It's got to be a celebratory thing if I'm tapping in with that. Melissa, don't be leading people off. I'm just looking at some numbers real quick. So the regular season series, the first 2 games against Minnesota, I don't think either team was healthy, but I know for a fact that Phoenix wasn't healthy. I don't even know if the first 3 games are both teams were healthy for the most part.
Because Satou got hurt somewhere in there as well.
Correct. Satou was hurt. Kahleah pretty much didn't see Minnesota until maybe the last one, if I remember correctly.
And Satou was injured after the All-Star break, right?
Correct. Yeah, the game they won, the comeback game,
Satou
was
didn't play.
DeWanna's first time starting for the team because Satou wasn't available. And Kahleah wasn't in the lineup for that one. So, yeah, it's the numbers are going to be a little misleading in terms of looking at the way that both teams performed against each other because neither team was really healthy the entire time. But looking at that regular season series, Minnesota did win that regular season series 3-1. Averaged 78 points. Shot 36% from 3 on 25 attempts. Caveat, though. Minnesota averaged 18.5 turnovers a game against the Phoenix Mercury. Now, again, this was not them going up against that team healthy. And we talk about one of the biggest dictation pieces for the Mercury being the activity, the chaos, control that they can provide for a team with their defense. That's the way they won this series against the New York Liberty. 21 turnovers in the first game. Close to that, like 19 or 18 in game 2. They didn't have as many turnovers in today's game, but they got those turnovers in timely moments. That's what it's going to take against this Minnesota Lynx team. That's a team that just hardly turns the ball over. And to the Mercury side of things, obviously lost the regular season series 1-3, averaged 70 points, shot 16.3% from 3. In the one game that they did win, they knocked down 1 3-point attempt in that game. So keeping these things in mind, other thing to note, they did only average 13 turnovers against the Minnesota Lynx. So they were doing some things, but it's going to come with being able to find a way to sustain it. Another thing, free throws. Naturally, if you have Napheesa Kahleah on your team, you're going to be taking a lot of free throws. The teams were relatively the same on average throughout the regular season series. And then the other thing I'll note is with Phoenix, they want to make sure they're getting as many catch and shoot opportunities as they can or catch and finish opportunities, and it's not playing one-on-one. Minnesota is very comfortable switching, even to degrees that New York can't necessarily do in certain lineup constructs. They're very comfortable just switching a lot. Phoenix, you got to be able to move the ball and be able to go get a paint touch. And I think that Satou is a piece that is big in that, just going to get a paint touch against whoever. Second in that is going to be a lot of Kahleah Copper. And I think Kai has to have one of her best series ever for them to go and get this one. Satou's my X-Factor. Whatever it is right after X-Factor is going to be Kahleah Copper for me in this series.
XYZ.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think we've done some really excellent work today.
Yeah.
We've prepared the people for what's to come on Sunday. Y'all know where to find us after the game, right here, where hopefully we're talking about a Merc dub.
Real quick. Merc in 4.
Okay.
Oh, I'm sorry, Kevin. I didn't.
Who's your series X Factor for the Mercury?
I'm gonna say Kahleah Copper, because Home S is telling me she has not played a single game versus the Mercury or versus Lynx all year.
Yep.
And the most burning memory of in my brain from the entire last season is the Kahleah Copper game winner versus the Lynx when DT tells Ka to hit the go-ahead bucket instead of her. The nastiest shot of the season, to be honest, I felt like from any team.
That game she had 30 or 40?
I think it was 32.
32.
And then the next game had 37 or some ridiculous nonsense in Vegas. Like, it was just a ridiculous stretch of games, and that shot was absolutely just nasty. So I think it's going to be Kahleah Copper ball, and it's going to be fun basketball to watch. Kevin likes to talk about the acrobatics. I love the acrobatics. That tells me that Kahleah Copper is so back. So
I imagine, well, I'm curious what goes on lineup-wise with Minnesota if Cheryl has to shift that. And I say that with respect to their starting lineup, but Bridget Carlton, who are you guarding? And how are they putting you in action? And I say that with respect, but when Kaz, like I mentioned earlier in this series against New York, and she had games against New York where she was in the paint every chance she wanted to. The premier slasher in the W. When Kaz sniffs out that, oh, y'all don't have anybody that can stay in front of me. If you don't have an answer for that, it might be curtains. And Minnesota has a great team defense. But individually, if you can't stay in front of Kai, and that's why I'm bringing up the Diggins of it all, because the one player that's going to be able to have something to say in that is Diggins. Diggins is a premier defender. Diggins is also just an athlete in space. She's probably athletically the only Lynx player that can stay in front of Kahleah Copper in some capacity. But is she going to be able to do that without fouling?
I think it's going to be an interesting matchup.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to replay that clip of you saying, Bridget Carlton, who are you guarding, like 700 times on my way home, because that...
I mean, we saw what they did with Sabrina and Esco in this series.
Thank you.
They had her in action as much as they possibly can. Pick and rolls, handoffs, inverted pick and rolls, post her up, off an offensive rebound. You got Sabrina guarding you, cut to the post, and let's just see what we can get out of that. It's going to be copy and paste in that respect as far as when Bridget's on the floor, because they're just of a similar build. And Phoenix has the athletic advantage in this series. That's something they have to take advantage of.
We're going Lynx hunting. All right, Kevin, predictions.
Merkin 4, Pink Wigs, X-Factor, don't need them for any type of environment. No energy manufactured or otherwise is necessary. The X-Factor bring it every night. No Pink Wigs necessary. Get the stud buds up out of the playoffs. Merc in 4. X-Factor, Satou Sabally.
Okay. I'll say 2. Storyline-wise, last season, DeWanna Bonner and Alyssa Thomas felt like they had all the opportunity in the world to win that series in the second round against the Minnesota Lynx. Fast forward a year later, look who's meeting again in the second round. AT&DB versus Shell Reeve and Fee. This time, though, different troops on the same side with AT&DB. How much does that change? How much does that shift things? Remains to be seen. But those two players had some fun in that series. And them doing it with a new cast of co-stars or teammates, if you will, very fun. I'm really looking forward to this series. This has potential to be an all-time great type series. And I think that the ways that they found success in past years is going to be relevant now. You put that in tandem with having the new players that they have around them, we might have some fun. And I think it's going to be a series that goes the distance. It's going to make fans uncomfortable because of how much time they're going to be spending exchanging jabs on the floor in terms of execution and going on runs and going outside the box and doing things. It's going to be fun. So buckle up, enjoy this series for the basketball product that it is, and also enjoy everything that it is that your Mercury team is going to be doing in this series as well.
Well, we're going to be back here on Sunday. We're going to be back here on Tuesday. We're going to be back here on Thursday. And we're going to be back here, I'm sure, on another day.
Thursday, Tuesday, Friday, Sunday, and Game 5 will be Tuesday.
Gosh. Do they know that I have a lot of meetings at 6 o'clock in the morning?
They do not care. They do not care.
I am pooped, guys. But it's been a great, great show. I can't say thank you enough. We reached, let's see, what the final number is before we get out of here tonight. Drum roll troop. 44 likes. That's the highest live amount we've gotten in our 2 years hosting the show. So shout out to you guys for being here.
Every last one of y'all. Thank y'all for making time. Shout out to my people in
2 hours.
My people in Central Standard Time. It's past y'all bedtime,
Yep.
but y'all still up sending emojis in the chat and talking about everything. Appreciate y'all tapping in, making time for us. Let's continue to do it. We got another big series, another extended opportunity to continue working. So we're gonna have some fun with it.
I just want to say Dubs in the chat. You can follow him on Twitter at StephenPG3. You can follow our amazing producer at KevoPost on Twitter. He cooked up a lot of great WNBA related tweets today. And also, if I do say so myself, he's been slaying the AZ Wildcats podcast content as well. You can also follow myself at Erica Lee Day, where you can find me occasionally dipping my toes in the football AZ Wildcats podcast water. But usually I'm over here in Merkland. And you can follow all of us together at PHNX_Mercury. We're going to be back with you on Sunday, where hopefully we start the show in the same way we're ending this one, with a one quick Mighty Mercury.
We all silly like the mayor.